Hi, I'm Matt Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with Scott Pronger, who is the Chief Revenue Officer for Certainty, and also Amir Sternhill, who is the Chief Strategy Officer. That's an awesome position. Sounds like fun.
It is a lot of fun.
Now, we're going to talk about, in some sense, the role of data currently in the enterprise. And I want to start, Amir, with something that you were sharing with me earlier, this idea that data is this infinite thing, right? There's really no end to the data that an enterprise might collect and have to deal with, right? It's not finite.
Data is infinite, and every day you have, I would say, who knows how many bytes added on to through the internet and through our networks. The beauty about data is effectively it's our life. It's our signature. It's everything is evolved as far as data. And the essence where the enterprises are today is the ones that have better access to the data, the ones who have more abilities to leverage data, usually come on top in terms of their business models, in terms of their revenues, in terms of their activities and perception in the market as well.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, Scott, when customers come to you guys and talk, and they say, "Hey, I need help with dealing with data," what are they usually talking about? Is it usually that there's some breach that happened, or a compliance thing, or they just read in a magazine that they should be doing a better job with data? What generally gets the conversation started when they come to you guys?
You know, oftentimes it has to do with the industry that they're in. So if you're in financial services, let's say you're a community bank, you're regulated by the FFIEC, or a large bank, the OCC, investment bank, the SEC. But a lot of the need to protect data and information is actually being driven by regulatory agencies, which actually are overseeing these entities in these different industries. The healthcare industry, as you know, we're based in Nashville, Tennessee, so that's kind of the epicenter for the healthcare industry.
Right.
Obviously, in that market, it's there's a lot of regulatory compliance that is required with respect to protecting patient data. So really, some of it is driven by the industry that they're in. And then also, I mean, you can't pick up the paper every day and not read about some breach someplace. So there's just a heightened sense of awareness around security and protecting information, and that's driving a lot of the activity that we see today.
Do you find a difference in sort of structured versus unstructured data? Like, do companies tend to partition the two or treat the two differently in a sense?
I mean, it depends. I mean, a lot of customer data is structured, and then there's a lot of unstructured data. So if you're in the healthcare industry, for example, there's a lot of unstructured data around images, whether it's X-rays, CAT scans, MRI scans. So it depends again on the industry. A lot of what we do is focused on unstructured data. We tend to find that if people are using, for example, relational database management technology, that data is structured, and there's already pretty good security around that information. It's really once you get into unstructured data, oftentimes that you have very weak security in place today.
Yeah, Amir, Scott mentioned imaging. Do you think IoT is kind of going to be the next big thing? Because this idea of having tons of data, it would seem to me that in an IoT context, that data would really be going through the roof. Like telemetry and all kinds, like an airplane, all the stuff that comes out of a jet engine, all the information, it's an unbelievable amount of data.
Correct. Our world we're focused on critical infrastructure. The IoT presents enormous challenge. The reason is that between a SCADA and between an IT environment, that convergence is effectively one big vulnerable open space for people to come in and do bad things. So we have to begin to figure out how to firstly atone for that risk, figure out how to create an end-to-end possibility of protecting that telemetry and enabling that convergence between an OT into an IT environment. That itself is a lot of where the future vulnerabilities will come, but we got to figure out at the data level how to begin to really atone for that exposure.
Yeah, and you guys can do more than just protect the data. You're actually able to maybe empower the data to, is it protecting itself? Is that what's happening in a sense?
Our motto is we have self-protected data, and within that we also have the ability to embed governance and rules into the data itself. So at any time you have the ability to audit what's out there. Obviously the data itself becomes a carrier of things, and it's your own signature. You can control the data. So in essence, this will lend itself to the world of IoT, just because you have the ability to make sure that you know what data, what sensor is being accessed, and negate anything that's trying to spoof that data itself, because it would not recognize anything else but its own so-called technology, which we call a UXP object.
Yeah. Scott, would all this work in the cloud as well? I would imagine it would. Whether your data's here or there, does it really matter?
Yeah, I mean, we're agnostic. We don't care if it's on premise or in the cloud. It operates all the same way.
Yeah. Well, I got to say, guys, it's a powerful story, because the one thing that really does unite every business is they've got tons of data, and in many cases have no idea how to maybe put it to good use. But very fascinating story, and I appreciate you guys sharing these ideas with us.
Hey, thanks, Ed.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Thank
It's always a pleasure.